Just gonna mute everybody. It is not letting me. Erica, are you able to mute people? Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, even though I'm sure people will be joining us as we go, and that's okay. So my name is Lindsay, and I am super excited. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this out there. This is the first time that we have done a webinar like this before, and we're all a little nervous because we're used to sharing our stories, we're used to sharing our testimonies and why we feel so strongly about what we do, but we've never shared it in this format before, and this is something new and exciting for us. And actually, that's part of being on our team and being a coach. We are always kind of trying to step outside our comfort zones and be a better version of ourselves. So we're always just trying to grow as individuals and as a team. And this is one more way for us to do that. So we're super excited to have you here with us tonight. Not just because it's the first time, but just because you're going to hear from several of us this evening, and you'll find that all of us are extremely passionate about what we're doing. We all got started for one reason, and we've stuck with it for another reason, and it's just become a really important piece to our lives, not just to us, but to our families and to pretty much just to everything that has anything to do with us anymore. So welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. And for those of you watching the recording, we're super excited to hear what you think after you watch the recording. So I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about my story and how I got into coaching, and then kind of talk a little bit more about what coaching is, because I know that seems to be a common question. Like, what do you even do? I see you post selfies on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't know what you actually do. So the way I got started with coaching was almost 4 years ago. It's not quite been 4 years. I was 8 months postpartum with my son. He had surprised me prematurely, and I was struggling with postpartum depression. And I had gotten to a point where I realized something was wrong, and I had gone to the doctor to talk to her about it. And immediately, of course, she started talking about putting me on some type of regimen of medication so that I could get everything that I needed back in balance, so that I would not be so sad and crying and all those feelings anymore. And I don't know about you guys, but the thought of taking medication every day scared me a little bit. And so I asked her for the opportunity to look for a more holistic approach. And so I did a ton of research. At the time, I also was very unhappy with my postpartum body. I looked at myself in the mirror and couldn't find one piece of me that I really loved anymore, and couldn't even really recognize myself at that point. I was super happy being a mom, but I wasn't happy with who I was aside from that. I really didn't have an identity, I guess, aside from being a mom. And so I went looking. I did tons of research. There's lots of options out there. But what I loved about Beachbody, what really got my attention, was that we truly do encompass a lifestyle. We take nutrition, we take fitness, and we take community, and we put it together. And that's what we provide people, which is huge. We're not just trying to sell someone a quick fix. We're not just trying to, get someone a gym membership. We're actually getting them all the tools they're going to need in order to lead a successful, healthy lifestyle. And so that's how I got here. That's how eventually Team Evolve came to be. It was a completely selfish move in the beginning. It was all about me. It was all about finding my happiness again and figuring out who I was after having a child. And it has turned into me paying it forward over and over and over again through the business and the fitness, because it's when you realize what a gift this is through fitness and through business, you can't help but pay it forward. You want your friends and family to feel this good. You want your friends and family to have the friendships that we have. You want your friends and family to have the financial gains that we have. And so it becomes extremely easy to share it, just like you would share your favorite hairdresser or your favorite nail salon. Because when you find something that you love and you trust, you start sharing it with other people. So what exactly do we do as coaches? That's a real common question. Like, what do you do? The main thing is we have a heart for others and we help them. We are here to help people in any way, shape, or form that we can. Primarily, that means that we are helping them to get started on some type of fitness journey that usually entails us figuring out what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, what their fitness level is currently, and then figuring out what program would be a good match for them to help them to be successful right now. And then, of course, to continue with them as they go and help them each step of the way. So we not only help people get started. So one thing about a lot of companies is they sell things. And of course, yes, we do sell something, but it's more of us connecting someone with something than just like giving them a product. And then as they grow as in fitness level or whatever, then we continue to grow with them and support them through their journey. We don't just sell them something and then say enjoy and walk away. We also help people to stay accountable, which actually is huge for us. So a lot of times we hear people say, well, I can't do this because I'm not very fit. I'm not where I want to be right now. I wasn't either. I was 8 months postpartum with postpartum depression. I was nowhere near what I thought I should be in order to start this business. Not even remotely close, mentally or physically. But what I decided was that it was time to invest in myself and that I needed the accountability piece. And when you sign up as a coach, not only are you helping other people, but it's a huge step in helping yourself along your journey, because there's just such a higher level of accountability for yourself when you're doing this. And then we really just try to stay positive and encourage people. There's really not a secret sauce to motivating people. Everyone can be motivated some days and unmotivated other days, but we just try to be real, share our journey as authentically as possible, and give people that peace, that connection, to show them that even though life is crazy and even though there's lots of other things going on, you can do this. And it may not look perfect every day, and there may be days when it looks absolutely imperfect, but it's okay because we're all doing it together. So we get people set up and started right. We help them along their journey, and we just really encourage people to continue to grow as individuals, whether it be through fitness, through business, or through just the community itself. Because some of the best things that have come from this business are the friendships that I have with the women that are on this call with us. It's amazing to think 4 years ago that these women weren't even in my life. Almost none of them were in my life. I can't even imagine going back to that at this point. I'm going to pass the torch. I'm going to ask Erica to speak a little bit. Erica and I are actually the co-founders of Team Evolve. We kind of dove in and decided to do this crazy thing together almost 4 years ago. And it has been an amazing journey. And she's going to be talking about what it takes to actually get started and share her testimony on how she got started.
Hey guys, I'm Erica. I've been a coach for about 4.5 years now, so it's been a while. I never thought that I would last this long, to be honest with you. When I first started, I didn't think that this was going to become what it has become for me. To take you back to where I was when I started, we were living paycheck to paycheck. We had just moved to North Carolina. We grew up in New York, but we were really struggling there, and we had student loans like crazy. And we couldn't keep up. And so we kind of thought we need to change something. And there was more opportunity for us for my husband, I'll say, because I was a teacher. For my husband, there was more opportunity in the South. And so we decided to just move down here. And at the time, it really didn't make sense for me to go back to work as a teacher. I was an elementary reading teacher. But if you are a teacher, then you know, if you go to work, then you're pretty much the money that you make, you're paying for childcare, like if you have children. And that's what it was for me. I was going to be taking a huge pay cut, and it just didn't make sense. So I said, why don't I stay home for a while? And we were actually saving money that way, but we were really, really struggling. And I was in a really unhealthy place. I had tried other things. I had done Weight Watchers. I had done all the crazy diets, the extreme things like eating cabbage for 3 days, and nothing worked. Like, I was miserable. But I didn't really know what to do. And I happened to see one of my friends post about Shakeology one day. And I got really curious, and I started to research a little bit. But like I said, we had no money. I was literally having conversations with my husband about not to leave the light on, and how long we should run the water, like when we brush our teeth. Like, we were really just not in a good place. And so for me to think about adding another expense in, it just didn't make sense. But if you've ever been in a place where you're just you just know that you have to make a change, that's where I was. I was desperate. I didn't feel good. I was impatient as a mom. I hated myself in so many ways. Not only how I looked, but how I acted. I didn't like myself as a wife. I knew I could be better than what I was. And so I knew in my gut, I just had to try it. So I know a lot of you, when people start, money is a big issue, because it just is. A lot of us struggle with money, and it's kind of like this roadblock, right? And so sharing my story hopefully will open your eyes to how you can get creative to make it happen for yourself, and then what's possible when you do that, when you're willing to think outside the box and do something that maybe you wouldn't normally do. So I looked around the house, and I sold some of my son's old baby toys. That's my story. I didn't have the money in our bank account, so I said, I'm going to make the money. I'm going to figure it out. And so I found some old stuff that we didn't need anymore, and I went on those Facebook sales sites and I sold it, and I made enough to get my first bag of Shakeology. And once I started drinking it, it was my mind was blown, because I had no energy at the time. I was taking naps with my son, and I didn't like that. When you're a mom and your kid naps, you want to get things done, but I couldn't do that. I was just exhausted. And so within a week or so of drinking Shakeology, all of that changed for me. And I started to see the community and really feel what it was all about. And I fell in love hard and fast. I was I need more of this, and I need to figure out a way to make it happen. So I did figure out a way. I became a coach for the discount originally. I just wanted to save some money. And then, like I said, as I started to dive into the community and feel the love and the support that I had never experienced before, I wanted more of it. It was kind of like crack. I was I need more of this. I don't know how, but I need more. And so I started to pay it forward and learn how to work this business and help other people. And when I say it was slow, it was slow. I didn't know what I was doing. I was a teacher. I had no experience in helping other people or I could barely help myself. Like I said, I was not in a good place with my health. But I was teachable. And so I followed what people were telling me to do. I did it every single day. And I started to pay it forward to other women just like me. And what happened was that I started to believe in myself more. And by helping other people, I grew more confidence. And when I became more confident, everything else started to change. Our whole financial what's the word I'm looking for? Situation started to change. My relationship with my husband started to change. My relationship with my son started to change. I started to get friends again. I was painfully shy. Years ago, you've never caught me on one of these videos. I would have ran and hide in the fetal position and be no way, you are not getting me on one of those videos. I did not want to talk to people. I didn't want people to look at me. I didn't want to be the center of attention. I hated social media. I refused to post on Facebook. I was the last person of my friends to get Facebook. And as you can tell, that is completely different now. It's a complete 180. And it's all because I was willing to think outside the box and sell my son's baby toys to get that first bag of Shakeology. It literally changed the entire course of my life. And so now, real quick, before I wrap up, we were paycheck to paycheck, and now I have a coaching income that's full time. Like, I don't work full time hours, but I make a full time income. And I had planned on going back to teaching when my son turned 5 and went to kindergarten, which was last year. He went to kindergarten, and I didn't have to do that. And that was like such a good feeling, because I had worked hard for a couple of years to build up to a point where like I no longer needed that teaching income. And it was just that freedom for me. Like, I enjoyed that job, but you know what I enjoy more is being home, working where I want, when I want, however many hours I want, putting my son on the bus, being there to get him off the bus, being there when there's snow days. I don't have to look for childcare. Being able to pick him up if he's sick. Like, it's just complete freedom. And I will always be a teacher at heart, and I still get to teach people just in a different way. So I just have no regrets, like for taking like what I had and making it into what I have now. Totally worth it. And I would do it a million times over. So hopefully if you struggle with like the money aspect of everything and getting started, you can see the long-term vision and the bigger picture, and know that like this is just a starting point for you, and think about all of the possibilities that it can turn into, just from that one little thing that you do. So I'm going to pass it on to Mindy, I believe.
Hey, okay. So my name is Mindy. I have been a coach since May of 2015. So coming up on 3 years. That's really crazy to think about. When I first joined Beachbody, I literally just posted on Facebook, like, anybody ever try the 21-day fix? And my current coach, Jackie, commented, yes, I'm a coach, because she was brand new and had no idea what she was doing. And I was like, okay, sign me up, because I wanted to do it. So that's how it all started. And when I got into a challenge group, I realized how much I was missing, like having those girlfriends again. So rewinding, when I had a baby, right, we all go through those motions of you kind of lose those friends that don't have kids and tighten up with friends that do have kids. And then when my son was almost 2, he was diagnosed with autism. So I'm going to try not to cry through this. So I kind of, like, everybody distanced themselves from me, because when you're a special needs parent, people, they're kind of like tiptoeing around you because they don't want to offend you, or they don't want to invite you somewhere that maybe your child can't go, or something like that. So when that all happened in, oh my God, when was Connor diagnosed? 2011. Like, from 2011 to 2015, I was literally autism mom all the time, therapies, doctor's appointments, neurologists. Like, that was my life, right? Because your child comes before anything else. And I realized that in that time, I lost me. Like, I've always been that girl. Like, when you're on our team, you'll know this, but I'm always that girl that's like there. And I'm always that girl that's dancing, or I'm always the funny one or the loud one. And I had lost that because I had just my life turned upside down unexpectedly. Nobody expects to have a disabled child, right? So when I first joined a challenge group, before I even became a coach, just being in a challenge group and being with these women and seeing all the support and feeling all the love around me, it changed my life. I mean, when I did one of these sneak peeks back in, I don't know, April of 2015, after a week of doing it, I was like, sign me up. If anything, I save money on the Shakeology that I fell in love with. And, if anything, I'll make a couple $100. And what I have gained is some of my best friends, are on this team, and truly, truly has completely changed my life. like, you guys mean the world to me. Sorry. I always do this. But seriously, like, I think all moms and new moms and special needs moms can understand that, like, your life changes no matter if you have a disabled child or not. Your life changes. And this has given me what I was missing being a parent. Like, it gave me the friends and the relationships and, the gossip and the fun. And it gave me all that back again that I was missing. And it gave me back because I'm healthier, I'm fitter for my family, because I want to be on this earth as long as I can for my child. So that is my number one goal. And at the end of the day, I'm also making income doing it, which helps pay for all those therapies and all of that. So it has lifted a financial burden off of my shoulders as well. So I hope that's, helpful for some of you, or if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. I am an open book and usually not crying. I am going to pass it over to Colleen, who's shaking her head because she doesn't want to go. Thanks for listening, guys.
Hey everyone, I'm Colleen. Oh, that was a tough act to follow, Mindy. So, all right, I'm going to start with, I guess, I'm going to talk about family a little bit more, but I'll start with, so I became a coach about 2.5 years ago, and it took me a while to sign up as a coach. It took me probably about a year to sign up as a coach. I told Erica I waited a whole year. I did ask about it for a while. I was a little hesitant about it. I didn't really know much about it, but I'd go over her house and be like, tell me more about this business. And for months, it was on my mind. And I'm like, you know what? I just need to do it. I was already doing the programs. I was, at the time, I wasn't drinking Shakeology yet. I literally just started with the 21 Day Fix. After my second son, I now have 3, but after my second son, I was looking to get myself back into shape. So I ordered 21 Day Fix. I started with that, and about a year later, I finally signed up as a coach. When I first signed up as a coach, I really was focusing, I was kind of being a little, I guess, selfish. I really just wanted to get myself back in shape. After having my second son, I was not anywhere where I wanted to be or where I should have, I guess, where I expected myself to be. I was a little bit older when I had my second son, so I was kind of I didn't feel comfortable where I was in my body. So I just said, you know what, I need to do something. So, sorry, I'm like super nervous. So so after my second son, I started coaching, and I started just sharing my journey. And I started attracting the people that I wanted in my life. I kind of got rid of the negativity and all the negative people that I didn't want in my life anymore. And hang on a second. Oh, sorry, I thought I lost something. So as I was sharing my journey, my husband would just watch me every day. He would watch me like work out, and he wasn't on board with me at first. I tried the Shakeology, and he was like, and then honestly, probably a couple months into it, I finally got him to try it. I was like, try this. And he fell in love with it. And we're now going on, I don't know, I guess almost a year, year and a half maybe, that maybe it's almost 2 years now that he's been drinking it. And actually he just went away yesterday, and he took my blender with him to make his Shakeology in the hotel. So times have definitely changed. But he really focused on his nutrition for a while. He was overweight. He had high cholesterol. He had high blood pressure. But we never really saw him being like out of shape, I guess. Like, I mean, we've been together now for like 18 years, and I just saw him for who he was, until now I look back at pictures and I'm like, wow, we've really come a long way. But Christmas of last year, we were in the mountains for the holiday, and Christmas Eve, that morning, he, I'll just tell you this quick story, but that morning he was having chest pains and he wasn't feeling good. And he was sitting in the shower and he's like, I don't feel good. And it honestly, it scared the crap out of me. It really made me think like, wow, what's going on? Like, it really made me realize that I don't know what's going on with my husband. And you know, we have, at the time then, we had 3 young kids. And so that day, that morning, it reminds me of a time when I was young and my father was having chest pains right around Christmas time, and he actually wound up having a heart attack. He survived the heart attack, but it just reminded me of like my mom telling me about it. So my first thought was, Chris, we need to go. Like, we need to go to the hospital. And we went to the hospital that day, and they admitted him right away. Here I was Christmas Eve in a cabin with 3 young kids, and Santa's supposed to be coming the next day, or Santa is coming the next day, and my husband's in the hospital. So I had to call family and say, hey, like, you need to come get me. You know, so luckily for us, he wound up having, he had some elevated levels, but they wound up finding nothing wrong with him. And honestly, like, he worked on his nutrition for like a year. He's like, I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in, and I just don't understand it. So my husband has now joined me on this journey, and he, you know, he wound up coming out healthy. But it really was like eye-opening to say, you know what, it's super important, and my family is my world. And I honestly, like, Beachbody kind of saved me, and it saved my relationship also. I mean, we've been together for 18 years, and of course, like, you know, you hit bumps and whatever, and after 3 kids, it's, you know, so we where we are now because of this. And honestly, if I didn't meet Erica and then all these other wonderful people, I don't know where I'd be with my health, and who knows where my husband would be. So, you know, obviously coaching has brought so much to my life. The financial part is just, to me, is a small part. It's wonderful, but to me, it's like me helping me and helping my family is where it's all at. So I think that's it. So I am now going to pass the torch to Sarah.
Hey guys, I don't know if you can see me. I just literally pulled in. I just got home from work. Can you hear me? Okay. So I've been a coach for, it'll be 2 years in February. And I'm going to talk to you today about, I'm sure what you all want to hear about is the financial aspect and what's possible with that. So I'm going to be completely honest. When I started coaching, I had no intention of really making a business out of it. I discovered Insanity, like, it's been almost 9 years ago, and I used it to cross-train. I was into marathons and triathlons, and so I really believed in the product. I already had this success story of how that particular workout had just changed my body, changed my conditioning, and was the most effective cross-training program I've ever done. So I already had this belief. I didn't really know about coaching. And then I started to kind of see bits and pieces about it, people talking on Facebook. And I had a few people approach me about it, and I was just, I'm a physician assistant, I'm a PA, so I work like 12-hour shifts in the emergency room, very busy 12-hour shifts. And I think at the time I didn't have my son yet, but I was just very, very busy. I was dealing with a lot of issues. My husband was really struggling with PTSD and depression, and I had a lot on my plate, like emotionally and mentally, that I just couldn't even fathom configuring another responsibility basically onto my plate. So I don't really even know what happened, but I had talked to Lindsay, who is now like my upline coach, which is the person who invites you to join. And she had invited me before, and I wasn't ready. And then I had my son, and something in me, I think I was afraid of losing myself. I think I went through this period when after I'd had him, and Mindy talks about this, like, you change so much whenever you become a mom. And all of a sudden I would stand in the shower and I couldn't remember who I was, because my body had changed. I wasn't this like athlete that I had been. My day was consumed with this baby that was crying all the time. I loved him with all my heart, but that was my whole focus, day and night. I wasn't sleeping. And I just needed to find me again. And I knew that I didn't have that passion that I used to about something outside of being a mom, which, if y'all know me, like, being a mom is, to me, it's like the ultimate calling of my life. But there are other ways and other things that we need to, other ways we need to give to other people. So, long story short, I really felt this call to help other people discover how they could get fit again after having a baby, because that time I discovered Insanity Max 30, which was the condensed version, but every bit as effective as the original program. So I went through my transformation all over again. I started drinking Shakeology, and when I started coaching, I actually discovered it was about two weeks, so about a week more than Erica, but literally, like, I felt like I could see colors brighter. And I wouldn't say I had postpartum depression per se, but I just had severe anxiety. I would be sitting in a restaurant with a friend, trying to get out, trying to, like, socialize, and I just felt like I have to get out of here now. And I started 2 weeks into Shakeology. I just felt this, like, sense of control and peace, and this just energy, like a constant energy, not like a crashing energy. So I like Erica, I fell in love, like, hardcore. I had already loved the workouts. I fell in love with the Shakeology, and I knew I wanted to help people. But I signed up as a hobby coach. So that's somebody who just, like, enjoys doing the stuff. They like the products, but they have no intention of actually building a business from it. So my first month, someone mentioned to me, if you help 3 people, you can actually pay for your bag of Shakeology next month, which I was like, wow, I can get my Shakeology for free? That would be so cool. So I kind of set that as my goal. I didn't even start, like, trying to do coach stuff for a whole month in, because I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing, and I became a student and wanted to learn. And I successfully helped 3 people and took care of my Shakeology. In fact, I actually doubled my goal, and so I had extra to invest, and I actually helped somebody else get their enrollment. So that is one of the things that has been the best part about this, because as a PA, I make good money, and this extra income that I make with Beachbody, it allows me to pay it forward in ways that, like, they just fill me so much. So moving forward, my first year of coaching, I pretty consistently made enough to cover our rent every month, and that was, I mean, it was a big deal, right? I mean, that's a pretty big, we live in an apartment, so it's not like a huge mortgage or anything, but it's in a good part of town, so that my daughter could go to the right high school that we wanted her to go to. And it took a huge burden off my husband. He doesn't make that much money, and so I was pretty much kind of carrying the family, a family of my daughter's 18 and my son was just 2. Well, he was just born at the time. He's 2 now. So that first year, it was just that extra amount each month to take that stress off, that little nagging voice that is just like, you're never going to get ahead, your bills are stretched, like, everything is accounted for the month, and it just gave us that little bit of extra breathing room. It took huge weight off of my husband. This past year, if you talk to anyone in this business, it is not a pyramid scheme. It's not a get rich quick. This is something that you build organically and slowly and consistently. And so my second year of coaching is where I've really seen it start to kind of build momentum. And I've continued to be a student the entire time. And so this past year, my husband and I, we've had this goal of, so I lost my mom when I was 19. My dad she died from breast cancer. My dad took care of her for years, and then he remarried, and his new wife came down with dementia, Alzheimer's, within a year of marriage, and she is now bedridden. She doesn't speak. She doesn't respond, and he is her only caregiver. And my son is his only grandchild. So it means a whole bunch to me to be able to move back. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and my dad lives on 10 acres of land, so it's in the woods, and he's by himself, and he's 65, and he's taking care of another full-sized human that it's a lot of work. And so it's really been on my heart to get back there, to be with him. It probably wouldn't have been part of my plan had this not all occurred with my stepmom, but I really feel that loyalty to him. And so we had always planned to buy a piece of land next to him. Well, that land, the last parcel of land came for sale this year, and we had not been planning on buying that land this year. It was kind of like a retirement idea, but it's family-owned land, and we had the first right or whatever. They had promised us to have the first dibs at buying it, and we were like, where are we going to come up with this money? How are we going to afford another $1,000 a month for 10 acres of land? And Beachbody allowed us to do that, knowing that I had that income coming in that hadn't been, we had that additional cushion that hadn't been already dedicated to something else. It allowed us to do that. This summer, I also took off from working for a while so that I could travel with my husband and take a couple of trips just with him that we had not done. Well, one trip, I guess. We hadn't traveled together since my son was born, and so I was able to take my husband on a couple-day getaway, also using my coaching income. And this is one more thing I was going to share with you. Something recently really helped. Well, as I was saying earlier, for me, honestly, just having that extra, like I said, we've never been in that point of desperation with finances. Thank God. I do have a good career. I have a ton of student loans that I'm trying to pay down. But this has given us just those little extra things that we wouldn't have had without it. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share, is that even $100 to $200 a month can, oh yes, Lindsay, thanks. It's already out of my mind. 2 days ago, the government went on shutdown or whatever. My husband is a dog trainer for the Air Force, so he was considered non-essential, and the thought was he was going to be working without pay until they decided what was going on, and he may or may not receive pay. And of course, those things always, for the most part, they're quick and they get resolved and everything, but we had no guarantee of that. And he messaged me, and he was so scared because we haven't combined our money yet for tax purposes, but he said, I don't have enough in savings. I'm so scared. And I said, don't worry, babe. I've been putting my Beachbody money away. I've got it. So we had that cushion. Y'all, I didn't even of course, I also trust God a lot to make things happen, but having that security and knowing that I had this residual income coming in, I just can't tell you, that was a huge blessing. That was definitely, I'm at a place where I have a good steady income that would help, really help support us if my husband lost his. So again, we always do this disclaimer that there's no guarantee for income, but I'll tell you what, if you give it 100% and you just be a student and apply yourself and you don't give up and you're consistent and you love what you do, it just takes care of itself and it grows. So that's it for me. Is somebody else going to close us out?
I am. I'll let Sarah mute herself real quick. Okay. So as people were talking, I heard a couple common themes, and me being the teacher in me is wanting to point them all out because I have a feeling if so many of us who are already on the team in the business have these similarities, then there's probably a lot of you who are joining us tonight who also have similar situations or experiences. And so I heard several times people saying once you become a mom, it's really hard to keep your own identity other than like, I'm Carson's mom and Laurel's mom. Like literally when I go get them from school now, they're like, oh, you're Carson's mom. It's not like, I'm not Lindsay, you know? And I'm cool with that. That's my jam. Being mom is like the best darn thing I could have ever done. But I also still do realize that it's healthy for us as moms, as wives, as women, to have something that's ours, to have something that we feel passionate about, to have something that gives us a creative outlet. And what a blessing it is to have that thing be a good thing for us, a healthy thing for us, and also something that provides a little bit for our family as well. It's actually really cool that our thing that helps us to identify as individuals also benefits those people that we love the most. Like something else I heard over and over, and I said it myself, was that I originally signed up for selfish reasons. A couple of us have said that. And it's so funny that we say that because now we know it's not selfish to take care of yourself, but we all said it in the beginning. Like that's how we felt. It was like, I need this. And it's about darn time I do something for me. That's kind of like, we were all at that point where it was like, I've got to do something just for mommy. And it's actually not selfish at all to make yourself a priority and do something for you. Yes, it benefits you, and maybe that's your reason for getting started right now is just you, but once you get going, it's like you won't even recognize at first how many other people it's impacting. Like I am, like Erica said, so much more patient as a mother, so much more loving as a wife because I have more confidence in myself. I'm a much better teacher. I have so much more energy and charisma in the classroom now because I'm not exhausted at 12 o'clock. I'm not running on Mountain Dew or sweet tea. It's like when you do something for yourself, it's just automatically blessing so many others. Like you just become this better version of you. It's not that you're not a great person or that you're a bad person, but you don't even realize what you're capable of until you actually give it a try. And then there were a couple other things that were stated that I just wanted to touch on before I see if anybody has any questions. And if you do have some questions and you want to start asking them in the comments, I'll try really hard not to look down there because my ADD will not allow me to stay focused up here if I do. But you can go ahead and start putting them in there and we'll make sure to answer them tonight, or whoever the person, not your upline yet, but whoever invited you to this call, you could always ask them the questions and they'll be happy to answer them as well. So another common question, we talked a lot about income this evening, and a lot of people typically ask, like, how do you make money in this business? And so we also talked about that 25% discount. So I wanted to talk to you about that as well. So a lot of us signed up in the beginning as coaches with no real intent to work the business. We signed up because we were told that you get a 25% discount on everything when you're a coach, which is pretty sweet. Like that's a huge discount. And that meant that we were getting a huge discount on our Shakeology, on any of the workouts that we were purchasing, on any of the equipment or merchandise that we like. This hoodie was 25% off. Like everything that is on the website pretty much is on sale for coaches because that's a perk of the job. So what that means is whenever we make a sale, whenever we help somebody, we also make 25% commission, which is really a great income. There are other ways as you grow your business to continue making income. Beachbody does a fantastic job of recognizing the fact that we are helping people continuously, and they reward us monetarily and with trips and with cool swag and great tools. Like I think this month, if you help a certain amount of people, you get a webinar with Mel. What is Mel's last name? Robbins. And she's a phenomenal speaker. She's just like breathes life into people. But Beachbody really has an incredible way of giving back. Another way that they give back that I think is really cool, in case anybody on here is military, is if you are a military spouse or you're a veteran yourself or you're active military yourself, you can run your business for free. So that means that you pay for your, you know, your Shakeology or anything like that that you consume each month. But we have a $14.95 a month business fee, and that business fee is waived when you're in the military. Beachbody like says, thank you so much for serving our country, and this is what we're going to do for you because of what you do for us, which is pretty incredible. Some people were asking, or some people mentioned like requirements and things like that. And that's a common question. A lot of people want to know, like, how much money do I have to spend? What do I have to do every month? A big fear is usually time commitment, which again, you heard Colleen's got 3 kids. Mindy has a son with special needs. Erica has a child. I have 2 children. Sarah has a child. These are all women that have a lot on their plates. A lot of us are teachers, moms, wives, nurses. We work in retail. A lot of us run clubs, or we're soccer moms, or, you know, doing all these other things as well. Maybe I know that several people are really active in their church. So it's not like this is the one thing that people do. So understand that it can be whatever you want it to be. So Sarah had mentioned being a hobby coach versus a business coach. So there are people that sign up that we consider like discount coaches. And a discount coach is someone who loves Shaco and wants to save money on it. And that's what they do. A hobby coach is someone who wants a hobby, and prioritizing health and fitness is important to them. And so for fun, they decide, I'm going to see if I can help some of my friends and family, not going to like try real hard, not going to make this try to turn this into something super profitable. But if I can make enough money to get my Shaco for free each month, or if I can make a couple $100, you know, maybe buy groceries for the month with that money, that would be a hobby coach. Someone who's a business builder is someone like a lot of the women who spoke tonight who are trying to really turn this into something. Like for a while, my goal was to stay home with my son and newborn daughter once she was born. And that was like my dream. And Beachbody, actually, I got to a point where I could stay home. I am making a full-time income right now. I'm sad to say, but I'm a North Carolina teacher. I'm actually making more with Beachbody than I am with teaching right now. Really sad to say. But I took a new teaching position this year and absolutely fell back in love with my career, thank God, because I really thought that I had like made the wrong choice 12 years ago while I was in college there for a while. And I don't want to stay home right now. That could change again. But my priorities have shifted, and it's really cool to know that because I have this income and I'm a business builder, if in 5 years I decide I want to stay home, I can. If I want to just save all that money and have that be our retirement money, I can. But like a lot of the other women who spoke tonight, it's allowed me, I'm planning a Disney trip in November, and it's all coming from Beachbody income. There's just so many opportunities. I've paid off all my student loan debt. I'm paying off the loans my parents took out for me when I was a student. Like, it's really an amazing opportunity. And what those requirements would be, depending on who you want to be as a coach, would really depend on what your goals are. And that's something I really want to make sure to point out, is that Beachbody doesn't put goals on you. You decide your goals. This is your business. So you decide what you want to do with it. And then this team is here to support you and mentor you in every way possible so that you can achieve those goals, whatever they may be. I'm going to start to look through some of the questions. I think one of them, the upline, the same as your coach. Yes. So my upline is Erica. That means that she's my coach. She sponsored me and she mentors me along my journey. My son is trying to get in here right now, so I'm trying to wrap up. You have to help someone every month to make money. So Sean, that's a really good question. You don't necessarily have to help someone every month to make money, because what happens is as someone signs up and they get Shakeology every month, their Shakeology automatically ships each month. And so each time it ships, each time they consume it, you make a commission from that as well. So once someone's your customer, they're attached to you, unless they, try to go to someone else. You're welcome. And something that I do want to say is a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth from what other people are doing maybe on social media, getting messages that feel really impersonable, I guess is the word I want to use. So getting messages like, hey, I'm selling this stuff. You want to try it? Or, just random things like that. That's something we don't do. I'm not saying that no other team does that and no other coach does that, but that's something Team Evolve teaches you not to do. We really are in the business of sharing our journey, inspiring others, breathing life into people, shining a light in the darkness, and just letting them know that we're here when they're ready. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not reaching out to people and saying, I saw that you are trying to lose weight. I'm running an accountability group in February. Would you like to join us? Or I saw you mention something about, being super tired at the end of the day and not knowing how everyone gets things done. And this is something that has worked for me. I don't know if it would work for you. We are definitely in the business of sharing what works for us, with the understanding that it may not work for everybody, but we strongly believe in it. And it did work for us, so we want to share it. Again, it's like what I said at the beginning. When you find someone who cuts your hair well, you tell your friends, because you all know what it's like to come home with the haircut that you hate, right? Like, come home in tears with that haircut, and you tell everybody, don't go there. We're like the opposite. We're like, this is amazing. You need to try this. You need to drink my Kool-Aid because it's awesome. That kind of thing. Camry, good question. So what makes something a pyramid scheme is when you start making money off of other people's, like, if the people underneath me are selling stuff and I start making a commission off their commission, like if I'm taking a percentage of their commission, that's when something becomes a pyramid scheme. Beachbody does not do that. So what happens is, in order for me to make money from, I don't even like to word it this way, but in order for me to make money based on what the coaches underneath me are doing, I have to maintain a certain rank. I have to be producing a certain amount of volume, and I'm not making commission off their commission. Like, if, let's say Jackie's underneath me and Jackie's making 25%, I'm not taking 5% of what she made. What I'm getting is Beachbody's financial, I guess their way of like rewarding me for mentoring Jackie and helping Jackie to help other people, and then maintaining my own rank and my own business in the process. And so they give us what's called a cycle bonus. And so every week you are in cycle bonuses based on what your team is producing. And so if you help your team to grow successful businesses, then you are going to earn more cycle bonuses, and you are then going to earn more income. Really, all of your posts, like, people are asking a lot in the chat about posting on social media. It's not necessarily about you sharing a sweaty selfie and saying, got it done today, or anything like that. It's really about you making connections with other people just like you. This business has allowed me to meet people and make friends with people who are middle school teachers, who have suffered from postpartum depression, who read the same books as me, who love Ray Dunn, because I love Ray Dunn, pottery. Those are the people that I'm connecting with. And then when they see me sharing my journey and feeling amazing and having all this energy, they might say to me, well, tell me about this other thing you're doing. Like, what are you drinking in that mug? It's not like, if you look at my Facebook page, yes, fitness is in there, but that's because fitness is a priority in my life. And I share my life on my social media. So we're not just saying you have to be, we don't want you to be like holding up your Shakeology in your selfie and sharing it like that. That's not what we love. And again, I know that there's a bad taste in people's mouths because there's a lot of that going on social media today. And that's not what we're about. I think it is close to 9 o'clock, and one thing that our team prides itself on is being pretty punctual, because we are moms, we are teachers, we are waking up early to push play to get our own workouts in. And since there are no more questions popping up on the chat and I can hear my 4-year-old yelling to me through the door, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight, and I'm going to encourage you to think about this and to reach out to the person who invited you and really just ask the questions that you still need answered, because we'd love to have you. Good night.